Good morning, students. In the last class, we read chapter number 2 from the book Hornbill. We are not afraid to die if we all are together. And we had read till page number 15. Until this point, we have read that there was a family, a businessman, his wife, his son, his daughter. They all were very passionate about a voyage. They wanted to go around the world, and they made a ship also that was very strong, very big ship. It was called by them as Wave Walker, and they started their journey. And for some days, they had a very pleasant journey, and they started it from England, from Plymouth, and then they reached South Africa, and they were going towards the eastern direction from there, and till 3500 kilometers away from Cape Town towards the eastern side, they had a very pleasant journey. That was their first part of the journey. And after some days, maybe on 2nd January, they were hit by strong gales, and they were hit by a very violent storm, and their ship was totally damaged. Then the narrator, he was thrown into the sea by the waves. He came back coincidentally, and then he saved his own life. Somehow he managed to steer the ship also. Then he gave the ship to be steered by his wife, and he looked after the children also. His daughter was badly injured. Then his son was not afraid to die if they were together. This was said by him. And now they were trying to mend the ship also. Mend means they wanted to repair the ship also. And all these things happened on 2nd January. And he was being helped by two people who were hired by him near the Cape Town in South Africa. He hired two people. Their names were Herb Siegler and Larry Vigil. And they were helping a lot in pumping the water out of the ship, because the right side, the sideboard of the ship, was totally damaged, and these two people, they were trying to pull the water outside, to push the water outside. Now I am going to read from page number 15, last paragraph. By morning on 3rd, this is now what actually happened on 3rd January. The pumps had the water level sufficiently under control for us to take 2 hours rest in rotation. Now, for on 3rd January, they were trying their best to push the water outside or to pump out the water out of the ship. And this was 3rd January. For last 15 hours, they were continuously pumping the water out. And maybe the situation was not so critical now. That is why they could take some rest. They were, you can say, in rotation, they were taking 2 hours rest each. But we still had a tremendous leak somewhere below the waterline. But still, they could not be at ease. They were not comfortable. Why? Because still a lot of water was coming inside the ship. From, you can say, the ship was submerging. The ship was still going or sinking maybe. I found that nearly all the boat's main ribs were smashed down to the keel. He knew that still the main ribs, the main, you can say, structure, the curved timber, the curved part of the ship was damaged, was smashed down, and the keel was, you can say, not able to support it. Keel here means the long beam that generally supports the ship, and it was smashed. It was broken. There was nothing holding up a whole section of the starboard hull except a few cupboard partitions. Only some cupboard partitions were there which were intact. Otherwise, all the right side, all the starboard of the ship was totally broken, and a lot of water was still coming in from somewhere. But most of the gaping holes, most of the holes were blocked by the narrator. He had put canvas, he had put that cloth on the gaping holes, and he managed to, you can say, block the holes with the help of canvas, with the help of hammer, and so many other things. And he made his own pumps also, because the hand pumps, they got blocked, and he managed to, you can say, mend, to repair his own electric pump, and somehow he managed to work it out. We had survived for 15 hours since the wave hit, but Wave Walker would not hold together long enough for us to reach Australia. He wanted to tell us that for last 15 hours they were, you can say, hit by those waves, by that storm, but Wave Walker was not in a condition, their ship was not in a condition to go long enough, and they could not reach Australia in such a bad condition. He knew it. I checked our charts and calculated that there were two small islands in a few hundred kilometers. And now he checked his charts, he checked the maps, and somehow he came to know that there were two islands in a 100 kilometers area or radius. One of them was Isle Amsterdam, and one of these places, these islands, were Isle Amsterdam, and was a French scientific base. Our only hope was to reach the pinpricks in the vast ocean. This is very important line, that they were actually looking for a very small patch of land in such a great huge ocean, and it was not an easy task. It was a very tricky task to look for such a small island or such a small piece of land in such a vast, in such a big ocean. But unless the wind and seas abated so we could hoist sail, our chances would be slim indeed. The great wave had put our auxiliary engine out of action. Now, this is very important, that they were actually waiting for the waves, for the, you can say, wind to get abated. Abated here means weakened. So they wanted that the seas and the wind should be weakened, so then they could, you can say, raise their sail, they could continue their journey. Our chances would be very slim indeed, but he knew it, that their chance to get survived, it was very rare, it was very slim. They had a very narrow chance of survival. The great wave had put on auxiliary engine out of action, and their extra engine, auxiliary engine, it was out of action, it was not working, it was out of order now. On 4th January, now this is all about dates. On 2nd January they were hit badly by the waves. On 3rd January they were trying their best to get to an island, and it was 3rd January when they were able to, you can say, decrease the water level, and they tried to put the gaping holes blocked with the help of those canvases, and now they were trying to search for Isle Amsterdam. On 4th January, 36 hours of continuous pumping, after 36 hours of continuous pumping, we reached the last few centimeters of water, and after 2 days they were able to pump out a lot of water outside, and they managed to, you can say, decrease the water level inside the ship, and it actually went to last few centimeters. Now we had only to keep pace with the water still coming in. Now they had just to manage to, you can say, pump the water out which was coming inside. There was no more water inside the ship. Whatever was coming in, they had to push it outside or pump it outside. We could not set any sail on the main mast. Pressure on the rigging would simply pull the damaged section of the hull apart. They could not really go into dangerous condition. They could not go and take any risk against the wind. Why? Because most part of the ship was totally damaged and it could sink any time. So we hoisted the storm jib and headed for where I thought the two islands were. So without wasting any time, they took a decision that they wanted to go into the direction towards which they could find that island, Isle Amsterdam or another island. Mary found some corned beef and cracker biscuits, and we ate our first meal in almost 2 days. This is very important that they were not able to get anything to eat for last 2 days. In last 36 hours or 40 or 48 hours they had not eaten anything. This is their first meal, and what they ate after so many days, there was some corned beef and cracker biscuit which was given by Mary to them, and they had their first meal. They had something to eat after 48 hours maybe. But our respite was short lived. This is again very important, that their respite here means their relief, it was very short lived, because still a lot of danger was coming and they had to face a lot of problems. After 4 p.m., black clouds began building, means on 4th January, again black clouds started building and they came over their heads. Within the hour, the wind was back to 40 knots, and the speed of the wind again went to 40 nautical miles per hour, and the seas were getting higher. Again, they were in a dangerous situation. The weather continued to deteriorate. Again and again, the weather was deteriorating, means it was going worse from bad throughout the night, and by dawn means early morning, maybe before sunrise, on 5th January, our situation was again desperate. Desperate here means hopeless. Their situation was again very critical, very hopeless situation, because the weather was really becoming bad and it was a terrible weather. When I went in to comfort the children, John asked, "Daddy, are we going to die?" Now look at the, you can say, the behavior of the children. They were really, you can say, afraid, because he wanted to ask that Joe, he wanted to ask a question from his father: were they going to die or not? Or were they be able to have their survival? Would they be alive after this storm? इस तूफान के बाद उनकी जिंदगी बचेगी? I tried to assure him that we could make it, but father was wanted to give some hope to the child, and he said, "Yes, but daddy," he went on, "we are not afraid of dying if we can all be together, you and mummy, Sue and I." Now this was really a very positive, you can say, behavior that was shown by the child. He wanted to tell to his father that he was not afraid to die if they were together, if he was going to be with his mama, with his father, with his daughter. He was not afraid of dying. And this was said by a boy who was only 6 years old. And what bravery, what courage, what kind of optimistic attitude he has shown. These words were, you can say, nicely said by him, and it motivated the father also. I could find no words, means the father could not know, he did not know how to react, with what words he had to respond. But I left the children's cabin determined to fight the sea, and with more determination, with more courage, with positivity, he came out of the child's room to protect the weakened starboard side, and he wanted now that he had to look after the right side of the ship, because it was totally broken and he had to manage to, you can say, repair it somehow. I decided to heave to, with the undamaged porthole facing the oncoming waves, using an impoverished sea anchor of nylon rope and 22 plastic barrels of paraffin. Then he decided that he wanted to prepare themselves for a sea anchor, because their anchor was not working. So what he had to do, he made his own anchor. Anchor here means a kind of brake which could help the ship in steering, which could help the ship in stopping. So he managed to make an anchor, and it was an impoverished anchor. This is very important word. What is the meaning of impoverished here? That their anchor was not working properly, and it was made of, you can say, different things. And this anchor was made by him by a nylon rope, and he used 22-liter plastic barrels. Barrels here means drums. Some tumblers were used by him. And paraffin होता है मिट्टी का तेल, kerosene oil. So barrels of paraffin were used by this man. These were very large 22-liter plastic barrels, and with the help of nylon rope he made his own anchor. And this shows the resourcefulness of this man, because this man is really, you can say, helping a lot in saving the ship. And he was showing his anxiety, he was showing his resourcefulness, he was showing his presence of mind at that time. That evening Mary and I sat together holding hands as the motion of the ship brought more and more water in the through the broken planks. Still the planks होते हैं लकड़ी के फट्टे. So a lot of planks, a lot of wooden hulls, they were totally broken, and still a lot of water was coming inside the ship. And this man, 37-year-old businessman, the narrator, and his wife, they were holding each other's hands, and they were hoping that maybe some miracle could happen, or their lives would be able to get saved or not. They did not know. But Wave Walker rode out of the storm, and by the morning of 6th January, with the wind easing, I tried to get a reading on the sextant. Now this is very important, that on 6th January they found themselves out of the storm. Their Wave Walker, their damaged ship, somehow managed to get them out of the storm by the next morning, and the wind was easing now. The wind was easing means the wind was controlled, and it was not moving at such a pace now. I tried to get a reading on the sextant. Now this word is very important. Sextant here means, you can say, an instrument for measuring angular distance. So somehow he managed to get his calculations. He wanted to know where those islands were located and towards which direction they should move. Back in the chart room, I worked on wind speeds, changes of course, drift and current, in an effort to calculate our position. Now what he had to do, he had to look after so many other things. He had to, so he the narrator, he went inside the chart room. He worked on the speed of the wind and speed of the ship also, because all these things are to be taken into account. They did not know in how much time would they be able to reach that place, or whether they would reach that place or not, because they could go, if they would be doing any, you can say, miscalculation, they would go to some other direction and they would never be able to reach Isle Amsterdam. The best I could determine was that we were somewhere in 150,000 kilometers of ocean, looking for a 65-kilometer wide island. So they were looking for a very small piece of land, and it was only 65-kilometer wide island, and they were looking for it in a lakhs of kilometers of vast ocean. So it was a very tough job. It was not an easy thing to look for such a small piece of land in a vast ocean. While I was thinking, Sue, moving painfully, joined me. Somehow when he was thinking about how to handle the situation, his daughter came to him. She was in very, you can say, severe pain. The left side of her head was now very swollen. The girl was in pain, and her head was swollen, and her blackened eyes narrowed to slits. Means she had very big eyes, and because of that, her, you can say, openings were very narrow. She was not able to see properly because her eyes were swollen. She gave me a card she had made, and then she gave a card to his father, and she wanted to show her affection and love with the help of this card. She had made a card for her father and mother. On the front, she had drawn caricatures. Caricatures means she had drawn, you can say, paintings, or maybe she had drawn some cartoons of Mary, means her mother, and me. Me here means the narrator, her father. So she had made caricatures of Mary and her father with the words, "Here are some funny people. Did they make you laugh? I laughed a lot as well." Inside was a message. Oh, I love you both. So, this card is to say thank you and let's hope for the best. Why she has drawn this card? Because she wanted to say thanks. She wanted to show her gratitude to her father and mother, and she wanted to give some hopefulness to them. She wanted to give some positive words to them. She wanted to hope for the best. Somehow we had to make it. And this is really a very fine gesture shown by the girl. She wanted to give positivity, she wanted to motivate her parents that they were doing their best and they could manage to survive after this drastic condition. I checked and rechecked my calculations. We had our lost our main compass, and I was using a spare. Spare means the extra one. Means the main you can say compass was not working properly. They had a compass, but it was not accurate. Compass means with that instrument they are going to try to get that island, they are going to get their direction correctly, but the compass was not up to the mark, and it was a spare one, it was an extra one which had not been corrected for magnetic variation. I made an allowance means he kept this in mind for this and another estimate of the influence of the westerly currents which flow through this part of the Indian Ocean. Means he knew that he had to be very careful, because if he would make any kind of mistake in calculating the distance or calculating the direction, they would never be able to go and search for the island. They would miss it. At about 2 p.m. on 6th January, we are talking about 6th January now. They were hit on 2nd January. They managed somehow to block those holes on 3rd January. Then on 3rd January, they were trying to get the Isle Amsterdam. They managed to have their, you can say, some hand electric pumps to work, and they were pumping or pushing the water out of the ship. On 4th January, again the black clouds came back. On 5th January, the wind was easing, and it was now 6th January. And on 6th January at about 2 p.m., he went on deck. Deck means he went on the floor of the ship and asked Larry to steer a course of 185 degrees. Steer here means to take, you can say, direction, to control, to turn the ship towards 185 degrees. If we were lucky, I told him with a conviction. Conviction here means with belief. I did not feel I could expect to see the island at about 5 p.m. Means with a lot of doubt. He was not sure whether they are going towards the correct direction or not. But whatever he could understand through his calculations or analyze through his, you can say, calculations, he managed to get a direction that was 185 degrees, and he asked Larry to steer the ship towards that direction, but he was not sure. And if he would be correct, they could reach the Isle Amsterdam at 5 p.m. अगर वो सही है तो 5 बजे तक पहुंचेंगे. Then with a heavy heart, I went below, climbed on my bunk, and amazingly dozed off. Now what happened? He went back to his room, he climbed up the bunk, and he slept for some time. He dozed off. Dozed off means he slept very light-heartedly. He had a very light, casual sleep. When I woke, it was about 6 p.m. and growing dark. But when he woke up, he found that it was already 6 p.m. and according to his calculations, they should have reached the island at 5. I knew we must have missed the island, but when he saw the watch and it was showing 6 p.m., he thought that they would have missed the island and they would never be able to reach there because they couldn't go back. Why? With the sail we had left, we could not hope to beat back into the westerly winds because westerly winds were so strong and they could not take a back turn now. They could not retreat, they could not go back into the westerly winds, and it was really risky and their ship was totally damaged, so they could not go back now. At that moment a tousled head, tousled hair means a person with an untidy hair, कोई एक सिर उसके सामने खड़ा था जिसके कि बाल बिखरे हुए थे. At that moment a tousled head, a person with, you can say, badly made hair, appeared by his bunk. Can I have a hug, Jonathan? It was nobody else but his son John. And John was 6 years old and he wanted to have a hug from his father. Sue was right behind him and Sue was also behind them. Why am I getting a hug now? I asked. And he asked that why he was being shown such regard and respect, or maybe why he was being loved by the children. Because you are the best daddy in the world and the best captain, my son replied. The son said that, Father, you are the best father in the world. Not today, Joe, I am afraid. But he replied that maybe on that day he was not best daddy and best captain because maybe they would miss the island. Why, you must be, said Sue in a matter of fact voice. You found the island. But Sue told the father that he was the best father and best captain in the world because they managed to reach the island. They had reached the island. What? I shouted. It is out there in front of us. They chorused. Chorused means together they said the same thing. They chorused that they were able to see the, you can say, that big island in front of them, as big as a battleship. I rushed on deck and gazed with relief at the stark outline of Isle Amsterdam. Then he rushed back on the deck. He ran towards the deck, towards the main floor, and gazed. Gazed means looked carefully. He was staring at the, you can say, outline of the Isle Amsterdam. At last they reached this place, this Isle Amsterdam. It was only a bleak piece of volcanic rock with little vegetation, and then he could see that there was no vegetation, no greenery, no trees and plants to be seen on this island. It was a very, you can say, a piece of rock only, and there was no vegetation to be found. The most beautiful island in the world, it seemed. This is page number 18. We anchored offshore for the night, and the next morning all the 28 inhabitants of the island cheered as they helped us ashore. Now, unexpectedly, they were welcomed on the island, and the welcome was given by 28 inhabitants. Only 28 people were there on the island, and all these 28 inhabitants of that place, they cheered, they welcomed this family and those two people, Larry Vigil and Herb Siegler. And we anchored. Anchored means they stayed there for the night, and the next morning they were cheered and they were welcomed by these 28 people. With land under my feet again, my thoughts were full of Larry and Herbie, cheerful and optimistic under the direst stress. This line is very important because he wanted to say thanks. He wanted to show his gratitude to all these people who helped him in getting their survival. All these people were very resourceful. All these people were very optimistic and, you can say, motivated, because they knew if they were together, they could achieve anything. And now he was thinking about all those people who helped him in fighting against such hardships. And these people were number one, Larry, and number two, Herbie. These two people were hired from South Africa, from Cape Town, and they showed their worth. They showed that why they were hired, because they were experienced and they knew how to handle the drastic condition, the dangerous condition of the South Indian Ocean. And but they were very cheerful even under direst stress, even under direst of the country conditions, in even under such a fear and dread. These people, they showed their cheerfulness. They were very happy, they were very optimistic, they never were fearful, they were never, you can say, desperate, they were never hopeless. And then he thought he wanted to show his gratitude. He wanted to say thanks to Mary also. Why? Because she stayed at the wheel for all those crucial hours. Because Mary, narrator's wife, was the one who was holding the steel. She was controlling the ship. She was steering the wheel for so many hours continuously. Most of all, I thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not worry to say about to say anything about this thing. And then, most of all, I thought of a 7-year-old girl who did not want to worry us. And then he thought about the daughter who was not afraid, and she did not want to show her injuries to the father. Just why? Because she thought that she did not want to worry the parents. She did not want to show her injuries, just because she did not want to disturb her father and mother, which subsequently took 6 minor operations to remove a recurring blood clot even between skin and skull. And this actually costed her a lot. Why? Because she had to go through 6 minor operations just because of the injury, because she had hidden the injury, and that is why she had to go through different operations, because there was a clot inside her skin and skull. And then the father wanted to think about the 6-year-old boy who was not afraid of dying. Why? Because if he was together, if all these people were together, he was not afraid of dying. He just wanted to be with his father and mother and his sister. So this is the end of the day. We have read this chapter number 2, and in the next class you will be given some text regarding the questions and answers. Till then, take care. Thank you very much.